Paul, you've got a short turnaround into tomorrow's match against Bradford. What does training look like today for the team?
Very light, and very light because I think tomorrow we've just had a look. We've got 10 players missing, mainly through injury. Otis obviously away with Pakistan, and another one for personal reasons. So we haven't got too many options, is in truth. Now, some of those I think would hope should be okay for Saturday, but they're certainly not fit and ready to play tomorrow night with sort of some knocks from the weekend, and obviously the ones that were injured previous. So yeah, probably in all honesty a game that we would have preferred not to have had, but it's in the schedule, we know when it is, so we've got to get on with it.
Donovan's obviously one of the ones who's probably got a question mark over him for tomorrow
Yeah.
and maybe at the weekend, but any others you want to name who picked up knocks on Saturday?
Harry Clifton, Toby Malarkey. I think Toby's played a couple of games with an issue, and I think that's just started to get a little bit sorer, so we need to see if we can give him a few days and see what benefits we can get from that, to whether or not he can then play at the weekend. Donny won't be fit for tomorrow night. Don't feel it's too bad, but obviously he can't realistically come off at the weekend and then be available. So that's that. Harry took a whack on his ankle. That's quite swollen. Again, he'd be one where we're hoping, because there is just a kick, that should settle down in a couple of days. But they're ones that certainly were involved at the weekend. I've just said 10, it could actually be 11. We're still waiting on one in Rakeel. He's been carrying an ankle injury, but has managed to get through, but that was sore after the game at the weekend. I think he typically took another kick on it. So yeah, it's not the easiest preparation. So as I said, the ones that are fit and available, we kind of need to wrap in cotton wool a little bit.
Not having much luck with your strikers this season, are you?
It doesn't seem to be, no. For whatever reason, I think Rosie's only missed, was it 2 games? But when both of Donovan and Rakeel have got off the mark and showed some promise, but like I say, in fairness, Rack's been getting on with it, as you want players to do. But it's proving a bit of difficulty keeping them all fit and available at the same time.
Reflecting on last midweek, post-match against Barrow, you said that your team might be lacking a bit of confidence going into that game and looked like they weren't playing full of confidence.
Yeah.
You've got 4 points from the last 2 games. What are you seeing in terms of confidence in your group now?
That's a difficult one, because I think Saturday was okay at times. I think we had some control in the game and spells where I felt we were kind of on top, but there's no doubt Tranmere had a spell themselves. But I spoke to someone that was there that was again neutral, and they felt we were relatively comfortable at 2-1. Then they got the equaliser, and then when we made some more changes, kind of got back on top again. It felt like we finished the stronger. So a bit of a funny one, because as you said, we've took 4 points, and kind of stressed that after the game it's not been a bad week at all. But in terms of actual performance levels, I kind of still would argue we'd been better prior to those 2 games. Although at times, like I said, played some decent football at the weekend, and with it being a different formation, it might not always be quite as fluent, but showed some promise. And as I said afterwards, I think to yourself, some things where you can see where the issues might arise, and again against certain teams I don't think we would get away with that.
One player who's caught the eye in the last couple of games is Jamey Andrews. He came in against Swindon when you had a couple of selection decisions to make with Camille out. What do you make of what he's shown you in the last couple of games with his starts?
I think he's obviously pretty good on the ball, pretty comfortable, got a nice left foot. But the other thing that I've been pleased about is the way that he's competed. I think when he came in, probably no fault of his own, but wasn't as fit as he could be. And I can remember he's doing the first bit of training, he found that quite difficult, even though it was only a very sort of short and sharp training session. But I think the way that maybe he's trained at his parent club, it's not quite the same. And although he played the 21s games, again, I think everyone would accept there is a different tempo and intensity to him than what EFL League Two games are. So I think he's took a little bit of time to get up to speed, but always shown a good attitude and willingness to do so. But I think now he's reaping the benefits of. I think before he would have struggled probably to get through a 90 minutes at that tempo. So he's done that in the last couple of games, and I think he's starting to show that he's a good player.
You've mentioned obviously a few injuries, especially up front. Could we expect Cam Gardner to get some action tomorrow night maybe?
I think Cam will definitely be in the squad, and may well find himself getting some minutes. So that'll be pleasing for him. As I've said on a couple of occasions when his name's been brought up, he hasn't played loads of football. He played, I think, again at the weekend, and the weekend before. So that it'll be good for him to start, getting the minutes, because again, we can get carried away. It's great news, and we've obviously want to work with him and see a lot in him, but it's not like he's just outgrown the youth team instantly. So there's still a lot of learning to do, and some of that will be in that environment, and other times he'll be with himself. So I'm sure he'll look forward to it and try and grasp that opportunity if it does come.
Just looking at our opponents tomorrow, Bradford coming into this game off the impressive win at the weekend. They changed managers after getting rid of Mark Hughes in the week. What are you expecting from them? Are you expecting wholesale changes, or do you think they're going to be looking to build some momentum? What are you thinking?
I think our thoughts are that they'll be strong, and I think if we look at the squad anyway, I looked at the bench from the weekend, and if those lads come in, they proper played. I think quite a few played against us in the game not so long in the league. So at the same time, as you said, for Kevin, who's caretaker manager, you'd have thought he'd want to go strong, to try and build some momentum, etc. And I don't know how, what the sort of thought is there in terms of if he did really well as caretaker that he could get the job, and if that's the case, then I'm sure he's going to want to play his strongest team, or what he thinks is. So we're expecting a really tough challenge, and as I said, for ourselves, it'll be the lads near enough that are fit will play. But also, I think I've got to have the game on Saturday in mind of trying to make sure that we don't, injure anyone else, albeit we've got to put a team out. So not ideal, but as I said, we've got to get on with that. And when the team takes to the pitch, there's no excuses in terms of wanting to compete. So the lads that step out there, I'm sure will give their all and do the best, and there'll be a couple that certainly will be having opportunities to impress, to try and get either probably back in the team. So I think near enough everyone's had some minutes and started games for us.